Hi everyone, I'm Marcy with Murals by Marcy. And whether you're looking to give a handmade gift to someone special on your Christmas list this year, or you're just looking for a fun crafting project for the holidays, today I'm going to teach you how to make one of these decorative holiday plaques. They are super simple to make, and they're just fun and festive and make great gifts. Now, I know some of you are probably thinking, simple? How can it be simple if I don't know how to draw? Well, here's the thing, you don't have to know how to draw. All you're going to be doing is painting a circle, and there's even a trick to that, which I'm going to teach you with the brush in just a little bit. But first, let's go over what you're going to be needing for this project, starting off with the wooden plaque. Now, you can find these at the craft store very inexpensively. They come in all shapes and sizes. I'm using a 4x6. Then you're going to need your basic acrylic paints. The colors that I'm using are white, black, red, and metallic silver. Keep in mind that not all acrylic paints are created equal. I use only Folk Art and Apple Barrel. Now you can find some cheaper ones out there, but they're just that. They're cheap. You end up using 5 and 6 coats and you can still see through the color. So avoid all that hassle and go with one of these two brands. You're also going to be needing 4 different paint brushes. You're going to need a wide wash brush, an angled brush, a round tip brush, and then one of these very fine script brushes. If you don't have one of these, you need to get one. They come in so handy, especially when we do the writing on the plaque. You're also going to need some decorative ribbon to hang the plaques with. This time of year, there are so many beautiful ones to choose from. I'm using this one. It's kind of a satiny white one with the silver trim, which I just love, and I think will be perfect for Christmas. Then I'm also using some glue glitter, and this is silver. This is strictly for decorative purposes at the end. Of course, you always want to keep your water and a clean rag handy. So let's go ahead and get started. Using our wide wash brush, I always like to dip it in water first. I think it just kind of preps the brush a little bit. Dry it off. We'll dip it in our white paint and just start painting. Now I'm just painting the face of the plaque, and this is probably going to take 1 or 2 coats, but you want to get it nice and covered all the way to the end of the face. So now we're going to rinse out our brush and use our red paint and just paint out the trim. Here you kind of have to be a little bit careful because you don't want to mess up the white that you just painted. So here's where it gets fun. Just dip the tip of our brush. And if you don't already know this, things work well in groupings of 3. So we're going to paint 3 ornaments. And all we're going to do is start off on the left-hand side, and with our wide brush, just fill it, and literally we're just turning it around. Look how fun that is. Now we're going to do our bigger ornament that's in the front, and we're going to have it overlap just a little bit. And the trick to doing this one is you just push down a little bit harder on the brush so that you get a wider circle. We got to dip and get more paint because the circle's bigger. It kind of runs out of the paint by the time we get to the top. So let me go around the other way this time. And we're just going around, made it a little bit bigger, but that looks good. Okay, now we do our third one. And we'll come out a little ways, have this one floating by itself, just a little. We'll make it medium-sized. And here's where the angled brush comes in. And now we're just going to do a little box on top of each one, and paint a top on there. There you go. So now we have the tops on each of our ornaments. Here's where the fine tip brush comes in, super handy. And now we're just going to paint a little ring where it hangs from. See how simple that is? Now using the same brush, we're going to dip it in a little more paint, and we're just going to paint a straight line coming from the top of the plaque to the center of each ornament. And this is supposed to be the little ribbon that it's hanging from. Now we're just going to add a little bow. On the bigger ornament, you're going to want the bow to be slightly bigger, just a loop. Do it on the other side, a little bit bigger loop, and bring it out and pull it back. You know, I think sometimes people get intimidated by art because they think they need to be perfect. But the thing is, you don't have to be. Just however it comes out, it's going to be great. I've even found that when I make mistakes, my piece ends up looking better in the end because I end up having to cover it up with a flower or doing something. Art basically tells you what it wants to be, so just have fun and be creative. So in this case, very basic bows, and if you can't do them, no big deal. Don't sweat over it. We'll cover it up with glitter, add some ribbon, and it all looks pretty in the end, because the main thing is that it comes from you. It comes from your heart. People love handmade gifts. So now we're going to dip it in white. And I'm going to create a shine. So you pick a side. I'm going to pick this one side, but whatever side you use, stick to it. And basically I'm doing like a line following the curve of the ornament and then doing just like another little dot afterwards. So it kind of makes it look like the ornament is catching light somehow. So since we did it on that side on that ornament, we're going to do the same here. Come down a little further because this is a bigger ornament. Get a little more paint and just add a little ball. See that? Now I'm going to use a round tip brush and we're going to create the little snowflakes along the edges. And here you cannot go wrong. Wherever your paintbrush lands, just make a little circle. And that mimics a little snowflake. Just make sure that you make it different every time. And I should point out that if you're going to be doing this, it takes probably about 15 minutes to make one of these. But say you wanted to make a lot for all your friends, you can make them even faster because you kind of get an assembly line going and just bang them out all at the same time. So long as you have all your stuff ready, you're using the same paints. When you do each step, you just do it multiple times. In fact, it's easier because it gives it a chance to dry. By the time you're done doing one step with all of your plaques, you go back and start at the beginning with your next step. Once it's dry to the touch, you're going to want to decide what you want to write on there. And I usually like to write it out in pencil first rather than just painting, just in case I mess up or I need to move things. You can lightly erase it or just paint over it if you need to. But in this case, I'm going to write Merry Christmas. So I'm going to take my black paint using my fine script paintbrush. So now I'm just going over what I did in pencil. This may take a little while because you're dealing with such a little tiny bit of paint at a time. Now we're in the home stretch, and now we're just adding a little embellishment. So what I do, or what I like to do, is use this glitter glue. And I chose silver, obviously, because the ornaments are silver. This glue on each one of these. Whenever you have old brushes that aren't good to paint anymore, don't get rid of them because you can always use them when you're dealing with things like glue. So I'm using a beat up old brush and I'm just spreading it around, give it that shiny little touch. You can also use your finger if you don't like the way that's working out for you. But the brush, I can get in the edges a little better and around that white. And voila, take a look at this. I love that as it moves, it sort of catches the light with that glitter. You can kind of see it there. Now you're all done with the painting. What you're gonna wanna do is let this dry overnight because then you just cut your ribbon to size, make a nice little bow, and you're gonna wanna staple it onto your plaque. The reason you wanna make sure that it dries overnight is because when you staple it, you have to turn it on its face. I always use a towel just for cushion and just to protect it a little extra. Use an electric staple gun, just staple your ribbon into place, and there you have it, your finished product. I hope yours turns out as great as this one is. I think it's adorable anyway, and it would make a wonderful gift for anyone. If you have any questions or any problems that you want me to address, feel free to send me a message. Thanks so much for checking out Murals by Marcy on Facebook. Be sure to click on the like button and share it with your friends. Until next time, we'll see you.